G'day and welcome to Coast Watch Football. My name is Lockie and there has been plenty going on in Australian football from this past week in regards to the A-League, Socceroos, Matildas and plenty more. Let's run through the biggest stories from the past week. Of course, the A-Leagues this week have announced their key season dates for the upcoming campaign for both the men's and women's competitions. A-League men's set to kick off on October 18 with the grand final taking place on the weekend of May 30th. For the A-League women's, November 1st is their kickoff date, a fortnight after the men's competition kicks off with the grand final taking place on the weekend of May 16. And following that, we had an announcement in regards to Unite Round, which has been shifted forward. A couple changes from the Unite Round that we saw last season. This is the second edition of Unite Round. It is, of course, once again taking place in Sydney, this time earlier in the season, November 22nd to 24th. So that's just a few rounds into the season for both the men's and women's competition. Two venues, that's probably the biggest change to the second edition of Unite Round. Last year we did see Combank Stadium was hosting a bunch of fixtures, and the men's and women's fixtures were sort of spread across the three venues. It's now been chopped down to just Allianz Stadium, Leichhardt Oval. Not a massive trip between the two venues, so you could probably hop between the two on a single day if you wanted to. And there's been some huge fixtures lined up for Unite Round this season as well. We've got the F3 Derby in the men's on the Friday night at Allianz Stadium, Sydney Derby in the men's on the Saturday night, and then an A-League Women's Grand Final rematch on Sunday at Leichhardt Oval. It looks like I'm happy with these changes. We'd love to get your thoughts on it as well. Feel free to jump in the comments and drop your thoughts on these changes here. But the second edition of Unite Round, hopefully it's even more successful this time around. Some big news in regards to the National Second Division. This has come out in the last couple of days from Vince Rugari of Sydney Morning Herald. It was set to launch next year, but that is potentially in doubt, or at least the initial system of the format of the competition, if you like, is in doubt due to a lack of suitable clubs, which is really concerning. Obviously, it's warring times at the moment. There's been a warring chat around the A-League in general, and Australian football in general, and we want all these competitions to succeed. National Second Division. Look, at the moment, I believe there is a meeting taking place over the last couple of days. At the time of this recording, there has been no official update yet. Hopefully, it all gets sorted out, and we can get the National Second Division going ahead sooner than later. We'll definitely keep an eye on that one. Australia Cup playoffs take place next week. It's great to see the A-League men's teams back in competitive action, taking place next Tuesday. First of all is Brisbane Roar taking on Perth Glory, and then Newcastle Jets will play Western United next Wednesday. Both of those games being played in Darwin. So at first chance to see A-League teams in competitive football so far this season. Melbourne City, of course, will be competing in the AFC Women's Champions League. The group stage draw took place this week. Melbourne City have been drawn into Group B, and those matches will take place in October prior to the commencement of the A-League Women's season. Melbourne City earning qualification to the Champions League after winning the premiership in the A-League Women's last season. And there has been some pre-season friendlies for the men's teams as well. This past week on Tuesday, Perth Glory defeated Armidale SC 4-2. Newcastle Jets losing 4-0 to Sydney FC. Kaczarski, Courtney Perkins, Waheem, the new signing, Anas Waheem getting on the score sheet, as well as Nathan Manatides there. So a big pre-season win for the Sky Blues. Of course, both the Jets and Glory in pre-season action. Australia Cup action next week in the playoffs. We've got some transfer news from this past week. Plenty of movement, of course, still. And the biggest one, probably for me from the past week, is Božidar Krajev joining Western Sydney Wanderers. This is a huge move. He did really well at Wellington, especially last season. Contributed with a number of goals and assists, and was a really key cog to that Wellington Phoenix setup, not just in attack but in midfield as well. He showed his versatility, filling a variety of roles for Wellington last year. He has joined Wanderers on a 2-year deal. That's a big signing for Western Sydney, and it's their first signing of the transfer window. They were the only men's team yet to make a move in the transfer window. It's a fantastic pickup. He'll add another dimension to that Wanderers attack. Interested to see how Stajic utilises him at Western Sydney. Perth Glory, they have been super busy in this transfer window. Another couple moves from this past week. Nikola Meliuznic joins on a one-year deal. He's featured at a number of A-League clubs now. He was at Brisbane last year and joining Perth Glory now, the 30-year-old. And Hiroki Ayoma has joined the club as well. He was playing his football in the NPL New South Wales, 27 years of age, midfielder joining up at Glory. Central Coast Mariners, some movement in regards to the reigning champions. Miguel De Pizio, who scored that second goal in the grand final, has re-signed for the next 2 seasons. Big re-signing for the Mariners. I think De Pizio is going to be really key in the next couple of years because of the departures of both Max Ballard and Josh Nisbet, but specifically Nisbet. We saw for basically the second half of last season, Nisbet playing that more advanced sort of number 10 role. That's the role that I think De Pizio can really flourish in, and I'd expect De Pizio to be starting for the Mariners this season. He's got massive potential, still very young, but he showed glimpses of his talent last season. Adam Pavlicic has also joined the club. He was at Sydney FC as their reserve goalkeeper, their backup goalkeeper for the last couple of years. And Diesel Harrington signing on a 2-year deal as well. He was at Brisbane Roar's Academy a couple of years ago, headed off to Europe, got some game time with the Academy side there over in Europe. But he returns here, hoping for game time at Central Coast Mariners. And look, Central Coast have done a fantastic job of bringing in young players who have maybe spent time at other A-League clubs and turning them into fantastic players. And Diesel Harrington looks like a player with enormous potential as well. A bit of a surprise one from Macarthur SC. They have mutually terminated the contract of Lockie Rose. Potentially we'll see Lockie Rose end up at another A-League club at the time of this recording. Nothing confirmed just yet. I'm sure there's a number of A-League clubs who would love to pick up Lockie Rose. Wasn't really a key player in the starting lineup for Macarthur last season. Some appearances off the bench here and there. We'll see where Lockie Rose ends up. Melbourne City have signed German Ferreira on a 2-year deal. The Argentine defender, versatile defender, joining the club, 28 years of age there, Ferreira. Medin Mehmeti has also signed from the academy side as well. Spent many years at the youth system at City. He has signed a 3-year deal, senior deal with the club. And an off-field piece of news in regards to Newcastle Jets. They have appointed Ken Shembry as their general manager of football. Ken spent many years at Central Coast Mariners over the past decade. There's all your transfer news for A-League men's. For the women's side of things, Sydney FC, the reigning champions, have picked up Brianna Edwards on a 2-year deal. She was at Wellington Phoenix last season. Melbourne City have tied down some of their key players from their premiership-winning campaign. Laura Hughes, Carly Rostbacken, and Briley Henry all re-signing on 2-year deals. Western Sydney Wanderers have re-signed Ella Buchanan on a 2-year deal as well. And Brisbane Roar have locked in head coach Alex Smith for the upcoming season as well. Let's shuffle on to the Socceroos now, and some pieces of news surrounding the Socceroos from this past week. They are set to take on China PR at Adelaide Oval on October 10th. It's the first time that the Socceroos are returning to Adelaide for many years, and hopefully we do see a sellout at Adelaide Oval for that one in October. The Socceroos have also fallen by 1 spot in the FIFA rankings to 24th. That was due to, of course, the Euros, Copa America have just recently wrapped up. Austria, I believe it was, jumping up a few places, which shifted the Socceroos back despite not losing a game through the most recent round of World Cup qualifiers. The young Socceroos are currently in action in the Under-19 Southeast Asian Championships. They defeated Laos 6-0 in the opening group stage match. The next match is taking place against Vietnam on Sunday. And Nestor Irankunda, we're all excited about Nestor and how he's going to go over at Bayern Munich. He featured for the reserve side in their opening match of the season, and he almost scored too. There's a clip going around on the socials where it was a classic Nestor Irankunda moment. He had it on the right-hand side, went straight for goal, rattled the crossbar. His side won 1-0, and hopefully we do see Nestor get plenty of game time this season. Some transfers in regards to the Aussies abroad. Some transfer news. Matty Ryan has secured a move to AS Roma. Fantastic move for Ryan. Hopefully we see him get some game time over in Italy. Riley McGree has signed a 4-year contract extension at Middlesbrough. Good to see that. That's a decent extension as well. 4 years for McGree. Hopefully he continues to progress at Middlesbrough. Alex Robinson, interesting to see where Robinson is going to end up this season, but according to Glenn Williams over in Wales. He is receiving interest from Cardiff City, who play their football in the second tier of English football in the Championship. Of course, we know Portsmouth are obviously still interested in him. He was at Portsmouth last season on loan from Manchester City, so we'll keep an eye on what happens with Alex Robertson. Mohamed Touré has joined Randers FC on a 4-year deal after spending some time in France over the last couple of years. And Tyrese Francois is set to join Wigan Athletic, according to Fabrizio Romano. And Shay Cahill, who was on the books of Brisbane Roar last season, he has signed for Nottingham Forest. He'll be joining up with the academy side. Of course, Shay Cahill, the son of the great Tim Cahill. The Matildas, of course, all sights are set on the Olympics this week, but Matildas did lose a friendly match, a B international match against Canada 2-1. The concerning sign was that both the full list of names here, Cadley, Ford, Torpy, Yallop, Micah, all missed the game through injury. Hopefully some of those players, hopefully it's not too serious and we can get them ready for this group stage, because really tough group stage coming up. Germany, Zambia and USA, and that Germany game is coming up next Friday. Kickoff is at 3 a.m. That's Australian Eastern Standard Time. So of course, fingers crossed Matildas have a fantastic Olympics campaign, hopefully pick up a medal this time around in Paris. Thanks so much for tuning in to this video of a full news recap of all the goings-ons in Australian football from the past week. Here's some of the latest content that we've got coming out. We did an early A-League men's ladder prediction this week, which was a lot of fun. Feel free to check that out on the YouTube channel. Our Australia Cup playoff predictions will be coming out this Saturday, and then the big Matildas Olympics preview on Monday. Stay subscribed to Coastwood Football to keep up to date to all the biggest news in Australian football. Hit like on the video to support, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.